This week, the Joey Longfart, full depends, end of quote, hot brown, garbonette, 10% to the Jim Eagle administration announced that essential, non-resident travelers crossing U.S. land borders, such as truckers, will need to be fully juiced by January 22nd. Nothing says, hey, I want a long fart on the American population quite like creating an artificial trucker shortage during a trucker shortage during a supply chain crisis, but whatever. Trucks move more than 70% of the goods around the United States, far surpassing trains, air, or boat. More than 40% of the jobs in the trucking industry are held by minorities, far higher than the national average. For the better part of 2020, the trucking industry braved the unknown and worked around the clock, shipping essential supplies and goods around the country when we needed them. Considering that truckers drive alone, and a lot of the unloading process of detaching these containers from these trucks are done outside, pretty much probably all of them, I don't know, and a lot of them are probably done by machinery. I don't really understand how forcing these truck drivers, safe truck drivers, during a shortage, during a supply chain crisis, at the theoretical end of all this, keeps anybody more safe. But why would it need to make sense? Nobody cares if anything makes sense. It's just like, yeah, we know that prices are off the charts. We know that there's a shortage of truck drivers. We know that these people are driving by themselves. We know that there's a huge supply chain crisis, yet just nobody cares, but okay. A Canadian trucking industry group says that up to 18% of their truck drivers will no longer be able to cross the U.S. border. 18%! They're expecting that 22,000 of 120,000 drivers will stop making trips across the border. In 2020, $309 billion of truck freight crossed the U.S.-Canada border, accounting for over 58% of all freight exchanged between these two countries. These numbers are crazy. According to this article in Forbes last week, according to the American Trucking Association, up to 37% of American truck drivers may quit if faced with this forced juice. Look, I get it. It's obvious for your average person to not be able to connect the dots of all of this madness that's happening right now. But if you're going to look at this stuff, especially this one and pretty much every other thing that these people have been doing, how you could possibly think that any of this stuff is not a methodical effort to destroy any and all things and create as much human suffering as possible. I just don't know what you're looking at. This stuff is so obvious and nonsensical that there is absolutely no other conclusion that makes any rational sense. Truckers had absolutely no work from home ability, no time off. It probably worked overtime and went out of their way during all of this madness, much like the nurses, the police officers, and the firefighters. Yet all of those people are removed later, after the fact, after they were already in harm's way. All of these qualified people, while there's all these shortages. It's like the hospitals have issues. Get rid of the nurses and doctors. The crime rate is off the chart. Get rid of the cops. It's like, get rid of the firemen, the people that no one cares what they have when they come to save your life, but remove all those people. Protect these truckers from themselves alone in a truck while they drive goods around the country during a unprecedented trucker shortage, during a supply chain crisis with pent-up demand where prices are off the charts. Artificially suppress oil and gas production when we're, for the first time, I believe, a net exporter of energy. Force all of that production overseas. Say that you want this greener, cleaner world and then complain to OPEC that they need to produce more while forcing us to produce less. Creating all of these high prices when everybody's short on money, when there's all these people that are unemployed, when there's all of these issues and crises. Tell the American people on TV that you're a jobs president and a small business president while you raise the corporate tax rate while you add IRS agents to audit middle-class Americans. Say that you're not going to raise taxes on middle-class Americans, but print money into oblivion, create unprecedented inflation. Say that inflation is something that's only for the upper class. Affect gas prices, affect consumer good prices. Lie and say that there's not inflation. Lie about everything. It's so obvious. When Donnie restricted travel from certain countries, say that that was xenophobic, and then go and block travel from certain countries the exact same way. Blame the entire Corona clap issue on Donnie and his mismanagement of it, while under your watch, there have been more people that have lost their life as a result of this. Say that you're going to end it, and then don't end it. It gets much worse, much faster, even with all this juice. Say you're not going to force the juice, then force the juice. Say you're not going to tax anybody making under 400K, then change it to families under 400K. I mean, who's not seeing this? Repeat the exact same lies over and over and over again, years and years later. Repeat Donnie's name out of your mouth whenever there's any issue. Just bring up Donnie. They still do that. The absolute garbage merchant, Jen Circlebacky, said this week when asked if Joey Garbage Monster was going to apologize to Kyle for suggesting that he was a Supreme, she just goes, oh, well, he's against hateful rhetoric, like when Donnie refused to denounce, this has been proven hundreds of times to be false, yet they just keep doing it. They don't think you'll look into it. They think you're dumb. The underworld dump truck serpent creature, Nancy Garbage Losi, purchases a $25 million home, a theoretical public servant that somehow came up with a $25 million house after all of these years and years of shady trading practices and stock buys. Goes and buys it in Big Ron DeSantis' kingdom, where it's so bad and so evil, in the throes of the clam dam. And where does she go? Move to Florida. After she does what? To what? Save taxes, to get rid of all the high tax. What about sea level rise? You buy a house on the beach in Florida? All right. All I know is that they know that most people don't pay attention. Most people don't care. They can slap you in the face with it, with even the most basic amount of logic and reason and discernment. You would look at it and be like, that just doesn't make any sense. But despite all of this, and despite the fact that they're slowly and systematically going one by one, piece by piece, group by group, until they get everybody, but nobody cares. As their wallets are getting affected, their way of life is getting affected, the people that speak about it are getting suppressed. And just like that, we lose a piece and a piece and a piece of America as they single-handedly, one by one, destroy every single thing that we hold dear. In my opinion, there is only one solution, and that is mass non-compliance, non-participation, voting with money, voting with eyeballs, voting with the decisions that you make, speaking up, and everyday people talking about this with everyday people. There are so many that just don't participate in the conversation, otherwise don't care, or feel like somehow this is not relevant to them because they decided to get that juice. But what we need to share and make more than obvious to them is that their pass, their free pass, is about to get revoked, and you're going to be subjugated to this until the end of time, if not more people don't start, at the very least, saying and doing something about it. But we've all been saying this. What will change? I suppose that's up to you.